Go ahead.
Hi, Mr. President.
Hi.
Have you spoken with any of the U.S. service members who were injured during that operation in Venezuela?
Yes, we have calls into them. I want to speak. They're all in good shape.
Can you detail what watching that was like when all of this played out in Venezuela and what Maduro was doing that moment?
Well, I
when
knew the
US
possible
forces-
danger. I mean, it was a very dangerous operation. It was amazing that we had a few injured, but all are in good shape right now. But I knew there was great danger. You got off a helicopter. The helicopters were being shot at. They got on the ground. They were amazing talent and tremendous patriotism, bravery. The bravery was incredible. Lindsay, they got off the helicopter and the bullets were flying all over the place. As you know, one of the helicopters got hit pretty badly, but we got everything back. Got everything back and nobody killed.
The next question is who's in charge of Venezuela right now? Have you spoken to the newly sworn-in president there, Rodriguez? And what are your thoughts on the entire situation? You said the U.S. would run Venezuela.
We're dealing with the people. We're dealing with the people that just got sworn in. And don't ask me who's in charge because I'll give you an answer and it'll be very controversial.
What does that mean?
That means we're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
We're in charge.
Have you spoken with her?
No, I haven't, but other people
Do you want
have.
to?
Yeah, at the right time I will.
Did the U.S. give Delcy Rodriguez any guarantees in exchange for cooperating
No,
with your
no,
administration?
but she's cooperating.
Are you going to demand free and fair elections in the short term in Venezuela?
Well, it depends. You know, what you're talking. We have to do one thing in Venezuela, bring it back. It's a dead country right now. It's a country that, frankly, we would have been, if I had lost the election, we would have been a dead country. We would have been Venezuela on steroids. Venezuela right now is a dead country. We have to bring it back, and we're going to have big investments by the oil companies to bring back the infrastructure. And the oil companies are ready to go. They're going to go in, they're going to rebuild the infrastructure. You know, we built it to start off with many years ago. They took it away. You can't do that.
And
You can't do that with me. They did it with other presidents.
How soon do you think an election can take place in Venezuela? How soon can an election take place?
Well, I think we're looking more at getting it fixed, getting it ready first, because it's a mess. The country is a mess. It's been horribly run. The oil is just flowing at a very low level. Much lower than, even if it was badly run, it should have more income, more oil than what they're doing. So we're going to have the big oil companies go in, and they're going to fix the infrastructure, and they're going to invest money. We're not going to invest anything. We're going to just take care of the country. We're going to cherish the country. We're going to take care, more importantly, of the people, including Venezuelans that are living in our country that were forced to leave their country. And they're going to be taken very good care of. Yes,
Have
ma'am.
you spoken with the oil companies about
Yes.
going into Venezuela?
I have.
Which ones?
Have you received any commitments?
All of them, basically.
Any commitments from the oil companies?
They want to go in so badly.
Did you speak with them before the operation took place?
Yes.
Did you maybe tip them off about what
Before and after. And they want to go in, and they're going to do a great job for the people of Venezuela. And they're going to represent us well.
What happens
But
to
you know,
this?
the infrastructure is rusty, rotten, most of it unusable. It's old, it's broken. You see pipes laying all over the ground. Nothing's been invested for years. Chevron's in, as you know, they've done a good job, but even they haven't been in a position to invest money because they're at a month-to-month basis.
What happens to this?
They're only there because I wanted them to be there.
Yeah, are there any contingencies in case the military in Venezuela is unhappy with the U.S. and the way it's running Venezuela? Do you guys have plans for anything?
So Venezuela thus far has been very nice, but it helps to have a force like we have. You know, we were ready for a second wave. We were all set to go, but we don't think we're going to need it.
There's about 17 billion worth of oil reserves in Venezuela.
More.
Is that going to be?
You mean trillion?
And is that going to be
Did you say
something?
billion or
I
trillion?
said billion.
You said 17 billion? It's much more than that.
Okay, so what is going to happen to those reserves?
Well, we're going to run everything. We're going to run it, fix it. We'll have elections at the right time. The main thing you have to fix, it's a broken country. There's no money. There's inflation. Like we would have had, if I didn't win this election, we would have been Venezuela on steroids. Lindsay would know that. You might say something on that because we were talking before. We would have had a doubling up of very bad things that cost us a lot of money, like welfare, frankly. We wouldn't have had jobs, And instead of having $18 trillion in, we would have had at least $5 to $10 trillion leaving the country. So our costs would have gone up, and all of the money that's, we're setting a record. It's long broken. And that's it. That's after 10 months. We haven't included the 11th month yet. So we think we're going to hit over $20 trillion. The all-time record is 3 by another country known as China. About 10 years ago, they did 3. We're going to do close to 20 trillion. By the way, there has never been anything like this ever before. And it's all because of tariffs and the election, but it's because of tariffs.
There was a time.
Without tariffs, we wouldn't have 10 cents being invested.
There was a time back in 2016, I remember your RNC speech, and you were saying that regime change and nation building.
Where?
When you were speaking at the RNC back in 2016,
Go ahead,
you were criticizing regime change and nation building, the U.S. being involved in that. It seems obviously that your stance has changed on that. What led to that? Being as the U.S. nation building now, is that?
This isn't a country that's on the other side of the world. This isn't a country like we have to travel 24 hours in an airplane. This is Venezuela. It's in our area. The Don Road Doctrine.
So is that what you would say, that we're in the business of nation building now?
We're in the business of having countries around us that are viable and successful, and where the oil is allowed to freely come out because that's good. It gets the prices down. That's good for our country. Now, we have a very sick neighbor. It's not a neighbor, but it's close to a neighbor, and that's Venezuela. It's very sick. Colombia is very sick too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you.
What does that mean? He's not going to be doing it very long.
He's not doing it very long. He has cocaine mills and cocaine factories. He's not going to be doing it very long.
So there will be an operation by the U.S. and
it sounds good to me.
Secretary Rubio mentioned.
You know why?
Cuba
Because
yesterday.
they kill a lot of people. Yeah.
Secretary Rubio mentioned Cuba yesterday in his remarks. Does the U.S. have a plan to do something?
Well, Cuba always survived because of Venezuela. Now they won't have that money coming in. They won't have the income coming in. A lot of Cubans were killed yesterday. You know that. A lot of Cubans were killed.
Do you know how many?
The bodyguards. No, they're looking, but there was a lot of death on the other side. No death on our side, but there was a lot of death on the other side, unfortunately. But a lot of Cubans were killed yesterday, trying to protect him.
There's been protesters killed in Iran. You said we were locked and loaded, ready to go. What is the line there for when the U.S. is going to get involved in those protests?
We'll take a look. We're watching it very closely. If they start killing people like they have in the past, I think they're going to get hit very hard by the United
Can I
States.
just add something? So when he first got elected in January, we met, biggest comeback ever. We talked about
You think so, really? I didn't feel it was a comeback, actually.
So
Because the first one was...
the bottom line is, we talked about a drug caliphate in our backyard. We had Venezuela, we have Cuba, we have Colombia in our backyard. And these 3 countries have been condemned ever since I've been in politics. Joe Biden put a $25 million bounty on Maduro's head. Chris Smith, today he got inaugurated, said, I hope Trump will hold Maduro's feet to the fire. You did. So what has he done? He's going to clear our backyard of a drug caliphate, countries run by narco-terrorist dictators who murder, rape, send drugs into our country to kill thousands of our citizens. To my Democratic friends, you should be celebrating this. When bin Laden went down, I was the first to applaud President Obama. This was one of the most sophisticated military operations in the history of the country. What they were able to do was amazing. They knew we were coming. We had a good part of the Navy, and they were able to capture this man alive. No military in the world could have done it. And as to this commander-in-chief, he did something people talked about doing. You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship that's killed priests and nuns. They've preyed on their own people. Their days are numbered. We're going to wake up one day, I hope in 26, in our backyard, we're going to have allies in these countries doing business with America, not narco-terrorist dictators killing Americans. This is a big frigging day. And everybody in the world is thinking differently than they were just a few days ago because of what you did.
Do you think you're going to?
By the way, you know, you mentioned something that's interesting. Lindsay mentioned Bin Laden. You know, I wrote about Bin Laden 1 year before the attack on the World Trade Center. And I said, you got to go after Bin Laden. It was in my book. And very few people want to say that, but it was in my book. You know that, I think. You've actually talked about it. But if they would have listened to me, they would have taken out Bin Laden, then you wouldn't have had the World Trade Center tragedy.
Yeah, this is certainly going.
Did you know that? I predicted Bin Laden.
I learned something every day.
No, but did you hear that?
Well, I
you
didn't now. I just heard it right
no,
now.
I wrote a book. It was 1 year before the attack that the book came out, and it talked about, there's a whole page, a whole section dedicated to a guy named Bin Laden who's a bad guy who you have to take out.
So I'll get the book. But right after the election, he told me, I'm going to clean up our backyard. Now, this was before he took office. This is one of the president's priorities, is to make sure that people in our backyard, narco-terrorist states, will not continue to kill Americans without the number of people that will be alive today because Venezuela will be in different hands is going to be tens of thousands. This is something to be celebrated,
And not
whether you
just-
like him or not.
Not just Venezuela. It's what's coming out of Venezuela
Yes.
in the form of ocean-going and Gulf-going and sea-going boats. Every time we knock out a boat, and we've done a lot of them, we did 3 over the last few days. They're very rare now. You don't see too many of them.
Hard to recruit.
But drugs by sea are down 97%. Think of that. And now we're going to stop them by land too. The land is easy. We had to do the sea before we did the land because it just works out.
Yeah, you were just talking about the land, but it sounded like you
And
laid
by
out.
the way, you have to do something with Mexico. Mexico has to get their act together because they're pouring through Mexico, and we're going to have to do something. We'd love Mexico to do it. They're capable of doing it, but unfortunately, the cartels are very strong in Mexico.
I remember one time you actually, speaking of Mexico, I asked you about Claudia Sheinbaum, and you told me at one point you had offered to send U.S. troops into
true, I did.
Mexico to combat drug trafficking there. Is that something you have
Well, I
spoken
like
to her
Claudia.
about?
I think she's a terrific person. I would say every single time I talk to her, I offered to send troops.
And she's just not willing?
She's concerned. She's a little afraid. The cartels are running Mexico. Whether you like it or not, it's
Like
not
it or
nice to
not.
say, but
It's
the
a fact.
cartels are running Mexico.
It's a
Yeah,
fact.
speaking of those U.S. troops, I mean, one thing that Americans and a lot of people are wondering, you just sounded like you weighed out another strike, another land strike at least in Venezuela. You sound like you weighed that out. But
Well, we didn't need it.
but-
we were prepared to do a second strike if we needed. We're totally prepared.
But that's
And
off
we're
the table.
still prepared.
That's off the table now.
No, it's not. If they don't behave, we will do a second strike.
Will you demand
The
that
question is
Venezuela-
that the American troops, are they going to be on the ground? They're doing any kind of peacekeeping? I think Americans are very...
Depends. It depends on what happens. It depends a little bit on the new administration, if you want to call it.
So if you see that pushback from Rodriguez and ultimately...
Well, I don't think there was pushback. I think that
She called
frankly,
it...
well, you know, you hear a different person than I hear.
Really? So you have spoken with her?
We talked to them, yeah.
Oh, you did speak with her?
They've been very good.
Because she called it kidnapping of Maduro.
It's all right. It's not a bad term. Go ahead.
Now, are you going to demand that Delcy Rodriguez let opposition figures return or free any political prisoners?
We haven't gotten to that yet. Right now, what we want to do is fix up the oil, fix up the country, bring the country back, and then have elections.
Now, is it fair?
We better bring the country back. Otherwise, you're gonna have a mess that's so bad. It was really bad. It's going to get a lot worse unless we go in and fix it.
Is the U.S. going to reopen its embassy in Caracas or get the DEA?
We're thinking about it. We've been asked to do it.
You
We've actually been asked to do it.
Do you think the
You had Putin and on the phone, of course, and then Zelensky at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
You told me that
Numerous times.
You told me that your New Year's resolution was peace on earth. Do you think that 2026, if you could set a deadline of when the Russia-Ukraine
I don't
war,
do deadlines, but I would say that, like as an example, Thailand and Cambodia.
well, where
I
does
was
it-
very
where does
proud
it
of that.
actually
Wait a
stand
minute. And they
between
started
Russia-
up again and they got it solved.
Where does it
I give
actually
myself 1/4 of a point for that. So now I'm 8 1/4 points because they started up Thailand and Cambodia, and now it's okay.
So where does it actually stand between Russia
I think
and
we'll have a
Ukraine
deal
right now?
at some point, hopefully in the not too distant. So I don't know if you saw the numbers just came out. 30,000 soldiers were killed this current month.
And there was that intelligence.
30,000. 27,000 the month before.
Have you and Senator Graham discussed additional Russia sanctions?
We discuss it all the time. There's nothing else I talk to him. I don't consider him very exciting to talk to, except when we're talking about legislation. And we talk about legislation all the time. You think that's an exciting relationship? It's not. But we talk a lot about legislation, and we have great legislation coming. You want to tell us?
So the tariff bill, so here's what I believe. I don't think we could have secured the border without the threat of tariffs. I don't think we'd have a European trade deal without the threat of tariffs. So if you want to end this conflict, then put pressure on Putin's customers. He sanctioned the two largest oil companies in Russia, which is the biggest pressure anybody's put on Putin since the war started. But we have 85 co-sponsors to give this president.
It's hurting Russia very bad, the sanctions.
Oh, yeah. So this bill would allow.
And India also is below.
Yes, sir. So he put a 25% tariff on India for buying Russian oil. I was at the Indian ambassador's house about a month ago, and all he wanted to talk about is how they're buying less Russian oil. Would you tell the president to relieve the tariff? This stuff works. So I'm hoping we'll bring the bill up, and it's from 0 to 500. He picks the number, nobody else does. But if you're buying cheap Russian oil, keeping Putin's war machine going, we're trying to give the president the ability to make that a hard choice by tariffs. I really do believe that what he did with India is the chief reason India is now buying substantially less Russian oil. So I hope we pass this bill soon. And after
Well,
this,
they wanted to make me happy, basically. He wanted to. Modi's a very good man.
Yes.
He's a good guy. He knew I was not happy, and it was important to make me happy. They do trade,
Yeah.
and we can raise tariffs on them very quickly, and it would be
People are
very
afraid
bad
of
for
that.
them.
All of that to say, you told me you weren't very thrilled.
And I'll tell you something, the Russian economy is lousy. But what's really lousy is the Venezuelan economy. The Venezuelan economy is, I think, the worst economy I've ever seen. If you look at inflation, things are doubling every day.
Stolen line.
It's a disaster. We got to fix the country fast.
President Trump, are there going to be any more? You said the oil companies are going to go in there. Are there any other companies that you've talked to about dealing with Venezuela? Maybe Mr. Lundin could talk about that. Are there any other corporations, entities outside
Many
of oil?
outside of the oil business.
Like who?
Well, the oil business, yes, but outside, yes. Howard, you want
So
to
you have steel, you have minerals, right? All the critical minerals. They have a great mining history that's gone rusty. So steel, aluminum, minerals, I mean, this is all, it's a rich, it was once upon a time one of the great economies and cultures of the world, and it was destroyed, and now President Trump is going to fix it and bring it back
got
for the
potential,
Venezuela.
but it's not easy.
Oh,
It's
no.
really gone bad.
Any rare earth
But it's got
minerals?
potential. What?
Maybe any rare earth minerals?
They have rare earth, but everybody has rare earth.
What's
Rare earth is not rare. What's rare is the processing.
We got
We're
almost
doing
all of it.
processing plants all over. That's right. There's no such thing as rare earth. The rare earth is everywhere. What isn't everywhere is the processing of rare earth, and we have a lot of places going up right now.
One thing we haven't heard you specifically react to is the Minnesota fraud that we've seen play out.
Well, it just doesn't get worse. I've reacted. It's almost not even believable. This very stupid, low IQ governor, he's a very stupid man because, I had a campaign against him with JD, and he's a stupid man, and he's a corrupt politician, and the Somalians are ripping off our country to the tune of, looks like $19 billion, but that's only what they can find. So usually when you're looking at 19, that would mean it could be 50, but the numbers are astronomical. Think of it. They have a dead country. They don't have government. They don't have anything. They don't have a military. All they do is run around shooting people and trying to capture ships. We don't let them take ships anymore. You know why? We use the same exact missile on them that we use on the drug carriers. And it's very effective.
So
You notice there's nobody capturing ships anymore? Because as they head out to go capture the ship, and the ship doesn't want to fire back because it's very flammable stuff in many cases. And the insurance companies don't want, because they build $1 billion ship, and they don't want anybody firing rockets into the ship. But we're hitting them so hard, and it's very similar. Same missile system. It's called deadly accurate. And do you notice that ships aren't being taken anymore? The pirates are.
That's right. I hadn't thought about
The
that.
pirates aren't. Well,
No Somali pirates.
It's actually very easy. They head out. We say, guess what? There's pirates. That's the end of the pirates. The shipping business is coming back because, see, these are little things that we're doing, and I'm doing it not just for American ships. I'm doing it worldwide because we don't want ships taken by Somalia pirates. But what they are doing is they're stealing money from the American taxpayer. And every one of them should be forced to leave this country, including Ilhan Omar, who's a total crook. And she's one of the leaders of it. Not the only, because she's not that smart. But think of it. $19 billion at least they've stolen from Minnesota and from the United States. It's actually more from the United States because Minnesota puts in, and we're not going to pay it anymore. We're going to have Waltz go pay. We're not going to pay them, and we're not going to pay California, and we're not going to pay Illinois with that big slob of a governor that they have that doesn't want. We brought down crime by 25%. He didn't do anything. He's not doing anything. But they want us to leave. He had a day where they had 17 murders, not too long ago. 17 murders and 77 people shot, but 17 died. And then he talks about, we can handle it. He can't handle it. But we pull back, and we'll go in at the appropriate time. But we're the ones that brought the crime down. We brought it down 20%. They didn't bring it down. Pritzker didn't bring it down. Same thing with Gavin Newsom. If we didn't go in to Los Angeles 7 months ago when they had the riots, even the police commission, the head of police, said if we didn't have the federal government go in, we would have lost total control of the city of Los Angeles, and they would have had to cancel the Olympics. Think of that.
Speaking of Los Angeles, the National Guard, you pulled out the National Guard out of Portland.
We did.
In Los Angeles.
And you know what? Do you know that Portland, we got it down to almost no crime? Do you know that? But we pulled it out. We had a Supreme Court decision. We can go back. We're allowed to go back in. But we'll go back in when the crime starts. Look, the crime will soon start because they now know that we're out. And at the appropriate time, we'll go back in. And we may, if we're allowed to. The most powerful thing we haven't used, the Insurrection Act.
You're considering using the Insurrection
I've always considered it, but we haven't needed it anywhere. 48% of the presidents of this country have used it. Bush used it, I think, 22 times or something. You know that, right? I mean, Bush the elder.
Now, what are your short-term next 2 weeks? What do you need from Delcy Rodriguez? You've threatened
just total access. We need total access. We need access to the oil and to other things in their country that allow us to rebuild their country.
What other things?
A lot of things. Roads that aren't built, bridges that are falling down. Yeah, bridges that are falling down, nobody can go anywhere.
And on Greenland,
On Greenland now?
Yeah, on Greenland.
How did we come up to Greenland?
So, do you expect to take an action against Greenland?
Well, I don't want to talk about Greenland. Let's talk about Venezuela, Russia, Ukraine. We'll worry about Greenland in about 2 months. Let's talk about Greenland in 20 days.
On Venezuela, we talked so much about energy.
By the way,
about Cuba.
I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you. You know what Denmark did recently to boost up security in Greenland? They added one more dog sled. It's true.
Sir,
They thought that was a great move.
what would the justification be for a claim to Greenland? What would the justification?
Oh, I don't want to talk about Greenland now. I just say this. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. And the European Union needs us to have it, and they know that.
Are you
I think
worried
there's
at
some
all that
confusion
the
about-
operation in Venezuela will affect your relationship with Xi Jinping in China?
No, I don't think so. I have a very good relationship. We have the power of tariffs, and he has other powers on us.
Are you still planning to travel to see him in April?
Yeah, I'll be going in April.
I think there's some confusion from Americans and maybe the community in the world when it comes to what you said about Rodriguez earlier today in a phone
Why?
interview. You said that she would face the same fate, if not worse, than
Worse.
Maduro. But
Much
it sounds
worse.
like you're talking to her on the phone
I am.
and wanting to work
Not
with
me,
her.
my people are just
and
the
you
same thing.
are considering her in power. Can you just clarify where you stand on Delcy Rodriguez
I
right
don't
now
have
being
to.
in
I don't
power?
have to tell you. I just say that she will face a situation probably worse than Maduro, because Maduro gave up immediately.
So she could also
He raised his
capture-
hand. He gave up, and he did the right thing, but he gave up. So we were so effective, and it was so fast and violent. It was very violent, but we were so effective. He raised his hands. He gave up.
What was the most violent moment during
I don't
the
want to tell you.
Did you get a
There are some bad moments, but there were some very violent moments. I don't want to tell you.
Did you get a briefing at all on Maduro's first night in U.S.
Yes.
custody, and what can you tell us?
I have a
about
total briefing on every aspect of it, but I don't think it's appropriate to talk to the press about it. You'll find out.
When it comes to him in court tomorrow, I mean, what's the end game here with Maduro? Does
There
he
is
just
no
rot
end.
in
We're
a
just
US
going to go
prison?
through a slog of a trial. The judge is very respected, Judge Hellerstein. He's a highly respected judge. We'll see how we do. The case it's infallible. And people are so happy with what we've done. You go down to Miami, you go down to a lot of places, and they're all dancing in the streets of this country. Now he was a rough man. Killed millions of people. He killed millions and millions of people.
After he stands
Can
trial,
I just
would you
say
ever-
something? We got that. This is a good thing, not a bad thing. President Biden put a $25 billion bounty on the guy's head. Why? Because he was a horrible criminal, murderer, poisoning our people. Every administration has been saying he's a threat to our country. He's a bad guy. This is the first guy that's actually done something about it. Here's the story for me. He could be in Turkey today, but he's in New York. So if you tell people in Cuba, you need to stop being a communist dictatorship threatening America, you should go somewhere else. You better take the offer. Maduro has nobody to blame but himself. He gave him a way out. He chose to defy Trump and the U.S. military, and his ass is in jail where he deserves to be, and every president has said the same thing, but he did it.
Would you
One of the things that is happening, and I think you see it all the time, Howard, you've seen it, that Cuba is ready to fall.
Yes.
Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't know if they're going to hold out.
Was there a final
But
straw?
Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela, from the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it.
Was there a final
And
straw?
Cuba literally is ready to fall. And you have a lot of great Cuban Americans that are going
Yes.
to be very happy about this.
Marco Rubio has really had your ear, it seems, throughout this entire process. I know that Vice President Vance was just down the street when this whole operation was playing out, but would you say that Marco Rubio has your ear more than the Vice President right
No,
now?
they both do. No. And JD's very smart, doing a great job. And so is Mark. No, both.
It sounds like
I
he's
would say
been
equal.
the go-to, and you were just talking about Cuba and what could come next there. Are you considering U.S. action in Cuba?
We're not. I think it's just going to fall. I don't think we need any action. It looks like it's going down. It's going down for the count. You ever watch a fight?
I have.
They go down for the count. And Cuba looks like it's going down. What do you think, Howard?
It's going down. They've lived off of Venezuela, right? The economics were all Venezuelan, right? That's why you said the protective force of Maduro was Cuban, right? They were Cuban guards, so they were just paying Cuba when that money stops.
Don't hire him in the future.
Yeah, they weren't very good.
People from our country who were forced to come over, they really didn't want, they were from Cuba. People from different countries like to stay in those countries, whatever, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And people want to go back to Cuba, and they want to work in Cuba, but Cuba's going down for the count. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President, is Elon Musk back in the fold? You had dinner with him last night at Mar-a-Lago.
Elon's great. I say about Elon, he's 80% super genius and 20% he makes mistakes. But he's a good guy. He's a well-meaning person.
Can I ask you about one more thing that I've been wanting to ask you the last couple of days? You said that you were very
He's got a lot of questions.
I do have a lot of questions.
Tell him who you're with. Go ahead.
I'm with News Nation. My name's Libby D.
Excellent.
So you said that you were really very angry with the Ukrainian President Zelensky if he was the one who conducted that strike on Putin's residence.
I don't believe that strike happened.
Right. So Putin had said in that phone call to you that that strike happened. You came out and said that, and you believed Putin. There was some criticism.
There is something that happened fairly nearby, but had nothing to do with this.
Why did you believe Putin in that moment and then go say that about Ukraine?
Because nobody knew at that moment. I mean, that was the first I heard about it.
So why not?
He said that his house was attacked. We don't believe that happened, now that we've been able to check.
Yeah.
But that was the first we ever heard about it. We just hope that Russia and Ukraine get it settled.
Amen.
It's costing us nothing. In fact, we make money because unlike Biden gave $350 billion, gave it away. Now, I got a lot of it back because we did a rare earth deal going into rare earth. And we're going to get a lot of that money back, maybe all of the money, maybe more than all of the money. But we get paid now whenever we send anything, they pay. So this isn't an economic thing for us. This is a soul. This is a situation where on average 25,000 souls, 25,000 soldiers mostly, and some people from Kiev and different cities, but a very small number by comparison. But 25,000 to 30,000 soldiers are being killed every single month. And they're not from America, they're from Russia and they're from Ukraine. And if I can get it stopped, I'd like to get it stopped. And I think we will. Thank you very much, everybody.
You've talked about returning some control to American companies. Did that play at all into your decision to capture Maduro?
No. What really played is the fact that he sent millions of people into our country from prisons and from mental institutions and drug dealers and every drug addict in that country, in his country, was sent into our country. Think of that. Every single drug addict from Maduro's country, which isn't really his country and it's certainly not his country anymore, every drug addict and every drug dealer has been sent into our country. Now we're getting them back, but it's a very laborious job to get them back. Very hard job to get. And of course, we're not getting a lot of good backup from certain judges, from certain radical left. But we're doing well on appeals because the people doing the appeals, seems that the judges are much more sane. What these super radical left judges are doing to our country, it's incredible. But if you take a look, Maduro sent hundreds of thousands and even millions of people from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions, drug dealers, drug addicts, everybody. He sent anybody with a problem to it. It could never be forgiven. And other countries have done the same, but nothing like Maduro's done.
During your campaign, you talked about ending American foreign intervention. What changed your mind with Venezuela? What kind of grew your interest there?
The fact that he sent drugs into our country. We're stopping it rapidly with what we're doing with the sea, because they come in, a lot of it comes in by sea, but it's not coming. The drugs coming in, as I said before, by sea are down 97%. You should be saying, thank you very much, President Trump, great job. Now they can't get anybody to pilot those boats. It's 97%. I'm trying to figure out who are the other 3%.
Would you say that Operation Resolve?
What's your response to supporters who voted for you, who may be glad and relieved to see Maduro in custody?
The voters that voted for me, yeah. Let me just tell you, the voters that voted for me are thrilled. They said, this is what we voted for.
So let's just think about it. What is the right response when a country sends in tens of thousands of people to overwhelm your system? When a country is a narco-terrorist state that floods your country with cocaine, that's aligned with Hezbollah, what's the right response? You blow up the boat before they get here. You take down the source of the problem. President Trump didn't wake up one day and say, hey, let's take Venezuela. He did what other people talked about but didn't have the balls or the guts to do it. This is a good thing. This is not interventionism. This is making America safer. We're going to be more prosperous because of the business deals. There are going to be Americans alive today because he shut down a narco-terrorist state called Venezuela. This is a good thing, not a bad thing.
And the oil companies are going to go in and rebuild their system. They're going to spend billions of dollars, and they're going to take the oil out of the ground, and we're taking back what they stole. Remember, they stole our property. It was the greatest theft in the history of America. Nobody has ever stolen our property like they have. They took our oil away from us. They took the infrastructure away. And all that infrastructure is rotted and decayed. And the oil companies are going to go in and rebuild it. We're not going to spend very much money at all, if anything. But the oil companies are going to go, we're going to take our oil back. But we're going to also do things that, when you look at what he did, the drugs are terrible. But also terrible, he sent hundreds of thousands of people into our country that should not be here. And that means from prisons, that means Tren de Aragua, the gang, Tren de Aragua, that comes out of Maduro's country. He was very friendly with that gang. Well, they're having a hard time right now. You know, we had Tren de Aragua all over Washington, D.C., and they got the hell beat out of them. Washington, D.C. is the safest city right now in the United States. Thank you very much,
Mr. President, if you had to sum up Operation Absolute Resolve, would you say that it was about oil or it was about regime change?
It's about peace on earth.
How is it peace on earth?
Peace on earth. We got to have peace. It's our hemisphere. The Monroe Doctrine was very important when it was done, and other presidents, a lot of them, they lost sight of it. I didn't lose sight. But it really is, it's peace on earth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.